Good afternoon. One of the things Jeremy had asked me to talk about was the difference in overtraining and conditioning. So basically, as I see it, based on what we do, let me give you some examples. I'll use Jeremy as an example on the front end. Now, before anybody thinks I'm making fun of him, the answer is that is not so. When he came to me, he was running 531, and this is not, condemning 531. It worked for him at the time, but what he did not have was any work capacity. And that's one of the things that Louie and I have talked about more than once, is about, there's lifters out there that want to be really good, and they're serious, and they'll work hard, but they don't always work smart. And what happens is we have a tendency to lift too heavy too often. So I have to remind lifters that I coach often, look, we're training our strength, not testing our strength. That's what the meet is for, or that's what test day is for if you don't have a meet anytime soon. But what I find with lifters that want to lift heavy too often is they get extremely tight, they're very injury prone, but they don't have a lot of work capacity, and they don't leave a lot of room because they're destroying themselves to address issues, whether it be, some extra benching or squatting movement or assistance to bring those weak points up. And I have fought this, with numerous lifters. And so I think Jeremy would tell you, now back then when he was training with us, I was a younger man, and I was coming off of my strongest years as a power lifter, so my work capacity was still pretty high. And I think he would tell you that for an older guy, I could still, because he was training with us, I was probably 47 years old, and I had still squatted at that point well over 800 pounds in a suit, but I was also much lighter from my biggest. So it takes a little bit of time, to get that work capacity up. That's where it comes into play, where conditioning comes into play. Now, a lot of the other things about overtraining, I'll use my strongman group as an example. They have come to me, and they're doing a little less volume than what they're accustomed to, and they're doing things where we're breaking down events, the events that they're training for, and we use percentages, not unlike a progressive overload. It's a little different. The application is a bit different, but the pathway is somewhat the same. And one of the things that I hear from them quite frequently is they didn't feel like they had trained unless they were leaving the gym just completely throttled. And that goes back to what I said earlier, is we're there to train our strength, and we're there to improve form, improve technique, and improve approach, and use these lighter percentages as a way to condition, not just cardio wise, but where you can do repetitions as the weight gets heavier. So let me give you an example. They have a log clean and press for an event, and one of the things we did, and it's a very simple process, it's not unlike the 668 method that we use for bench and decline. What I did is I had them take a max log press, push press, from the rack. We didn't clean it or anything like that. We just took it from the rack and a good solid push press. We did 3 sets of 3 at a percentage, and then dropped 10% and did 6 reps. And at the end, at the 7th week, they all at least did 3 singles with their PR and 6 reps with 90% of their PR. Now, I had some of them that went 3 for 3 and 1 for 6 with 100% and the 6 reps for 90%. So you can see how quickly, when you follow that, you don't color outside the lines. There was someone on the bodybuilding.com page, that blog that Jeremy had started, he was following the decline press, and instead of doing 8, he did 10 reps. Now here's the rule of measure for that, just as an example, because we would never do 10 reps. Even if there's more in the tank, we do the 8 reps, and then we evaluate for the following week, because the idea is that we're training in a high threshold with that decline press. But once we start doing extra reps or extra sets, we start skewing things, and that's when it comes off the rail. So you got to have a plan. And again, that's the difference in training correctly and overtraining. You get people that get a plan, then they start freelancing, and that's where things come into play and create trouble. So that hopefully answers the question, and use that assistance to address weak points and for conditioning. And as you do that, your work capacity should increase. All right, good luck.